Hello, and welcome to this episode, a one-off episode of Dungeon Rules, where I go over some specific details on spellcasting and how the rules of movement work. So, I've prepared a little bit to kind of explain how a normal creature would move on a turn. So the first thing we need to know is that a round is 6 seconds. And the rules state that for an average human, which we're going to use as our first example before we look at any of the extra rules, can move 30 feet in that round and still feasibly move an attack. You swing a sword with accuracy, keep a shield up for armor and defense, be encumbered by armor, move and still cast a spell while very carefully concentrating on the movement of their hands, the speaking of their words, and while taking small material components such as powder or small bits of insects and using them in the casting of their spell. So this, we're going to first determine what speed 30 feet around is, and compare that to the average human walking speed to see where we stand with that, to know how regular movement works on a regular round. And so I went ahead and did some math. I'm going to turn the light off so you can see the paper a little bit better. But we see that one round is 6 seconds, meaning that 10 rounds is 60 seconds or 1 minute. Now to get to an hour, we need 600 rounds to get to 60 minutes or an hour. Now this lets us do some math to figure out miles per hour so that we can know just a base rate of movement. So we can see here that 30 feet times the 600 rounds gives us 18,000 feet in an hour. That's a lot of feet. We also know, thanks to school, that there are 5,000, let me double check that, 5,280 feet in a mile. So to figure out miles per hour, what we do is we take our 18,000 feet per hour divided by the 5,280 feet that are in a mile, and that'll give us about 3.4 miles an hour for a standard round. Now I did some quick Googling, and it looks like the average human walking speed is 3.1 miles an hour. So imagine a casual but determined walk forward. That is the amount of distance that you would cover, is approximately 30 feet in a 6-second period. So it's a little more brisk than a normal human. You got that extra 0.3 miles an hour, but you're covering that distance. And that allows you to keep your weapon ready to deal with oncoming blows and to react reasonably in combat, because you can't ninja style move super fast and still work feasibly with your attacks unless you're trained like a ninja, not wearing heavy armor, are not dealing with casting spells such as a monk or other thing which gets their boost to speed. So obviously, if you are not as concerned with keeping that weapon ready, with blocking an oncoming attack or casting that spell, let me turn the light back on so you can see me a little better, you can choose instead to double your movement speed, to jog or run through combat rather than to take those oncoming blows, or rather than keep your weapon at the ready. So that's going to boost us to 6.8 miles an hour if we double that, right? Now mechanically, what that is you're foregoing your weapon attack. You're going to say, instead of carefully aiming my weapon and swinging or firing my bow as I take aim and release this, I'm still moving, but I'm also doing this. Instead of having those extra actions, you are just moving. You're just moving through the battlefield. You're going to double your speed. You're going to go 6.8 miles an hour. Now, before we get into the spells, to give you a idea as to what the human body is capable of without magic, I actually looked up some stats on Usain Bolt, the fastest individual in recorded history. First, I should mention that average human running speed is going to be between 6 and 8 miles an hour for an untrained runner. Well, it does take some level of training. If you're not in shape, you're not going to be able to do that. But past 6 miles an hour is when you break from a jog into a run. And so that 6.8 fits just at the base of a run, which makes sense for someone who is dealing with the threat of combat. Now, Usain Bolt completed a 100-meter sprint in 9.8 seconds and was clocked in at 28 miles an hour. So if we do some of the reverse math of what that is, we use the same principle, right? We've got the 28 miles an hour times the number of feet in a mile, which is going to give us a amazing, let me turn the light back off, 147,840 feet in an hour, divided by 60 will give us our feet per minute, which was 2,464 feet a minute. Break that down by the number of rounds again, and that's Usain Bolt moved without magic, just being a well-trained individual, at 246.4 feet a round. That's 246.4 feet every 6 seconds. Now, he only maintained that speed for 9.8 seconds, or a round and a half, but it is possible for the human body, if trained well, to go immensely fast. That was also on a flat surface designed to be ran upon, wearing shoes that gave him good cushion, not wearing anything heavy. He was really light, and he was an Olympian, so it's possible. But if we start looking at magic, so we already went over dash. Dashing is foregoing your action of attacking or spellcasting to instead double your speed at 60 feet around. If we look at magic, the spell Expeditious Retreat, as it's pronounced, I now found out I will pronounce it correctly. Expeditious Retreat reads, "This spell allows you to move at an incredible pace. When you cast the spell, and then each turn after as a bonus action, you can take the dash action." So that means you're going beyond what you're normally capable of. So this means that you can go regular movement that you get automatically, your 30 feet, plus your bonus of an extra 30 because of the spell, by going at an incredible pace, quote unquote, and still fire your weapon and still use your sword. Or, because of your incredible pace, if you choose not to use those weapons or cast that spell or take that action, you can basically triple your walking speed. So you're going to go movement, action to dash, and then this bonus action of Expeditious Retreat to get that extra speed. So you're now in the range of 3 times walking speed, which I determined was, there we go. It comes to 10.2 miles an hour. Now that is a little bit above average human running speed. That's someone who's well trained or impressive. And it's something you're able to keep up for 10 minutes. So it is impressive for a human being. That is something that most people could sprint at that speed, but not keep up a run for 10 minutes at that speed. So there is a supernatural element to that. Now, if we add in the bonus song that is, or the blade song that is granted by that class, by that subclass rather, you already have a heightened sense of speed, and so this supernatural boost is adding on top of that to suddenly create this ability to go much faster than a normal human could maintain for that amount of time. However, still within the realm of possibility of movement, and not something that is unbelievably broken or ridiculous. And even for the monk, who naturally gets boost speeds. So theoretically, a normal monk, once it reaches a certain level, is going to be adding an additional 30 feet of movement to its normal walking speed. So that means it walks at the speed that a normal person can run, and still attack and act like a ninja would, like a trained martial artist would, where they move quickly throughout the field and still strike. And then focusing on that speed and doing nothing but running they could dash without any magic and go 120 feet in a single round, which shows that would be something that is possible for a well-trained individual who's honed their body. But that's about it for this episode. For further questions or page numbers or a discussion, please let me know and we can talk about it. But I thought it would be fun to make this and send it out like I was a real internet person, but I'm not. Love you guys. Bye.